This is task 4B part 1. You're told that the hotel would like to be able to view details of reservations made for each room, and that you're going to create a form that will fulfill this set of requirements. And main things that we need to know is that we need to have all room details, including a description of its type, and we need to have information about the reservations, including some information about the visitor. So that's actually going to be collating data from all 4 tables. Let's have a look at how we can go about creating this form. We're going to use a form wizard because this will take us through the stages that we need. The main data that we're going to have on there is the data to do with the room. Now we need to have all the room data on there. However, we don't actually need the type ID because the type ID is only a number that links to the room type. So I'll take that off, and what we'll do instead is we'll bring the room type in from here. So I'll get the description and put the description of a room there, and that will now tell us all the information about that room. We also need information about the reservation. So if we select reservation and we have a look, we want the check-in, the check-out and the deposit that has been received. And we need information about the visitor, the ID, the name and the postcode. So if we go to visitor, we can put a visitor ID on, full name, surname and postcode. So that's all the data that's going to go on our form. If we now click on next, we get given this option how we want to organise our data. If I selected by reservation, it would all go on one single form. Selecting by visitor would do one form per visitor, but we're asked for one form per room. So we select to organise it by room. We'll click on next. This is an important aspect here as well. See, if we just leave it as datasheet view, it makes it quite difficult to manipulate the data. In particular, it makes it difficult to deal with the house style that we're going to have to put into place. So we'll select the tabular option, which gives us much more flexibility. We've now got what titles do you want for your form. Well, it says the title will be room reservations. So that's what we'll do here, room reservations. And this is just the subform, so we'll leave that as it is. Although what we could do is we could just call it reservations, but I'd like to know that it's a subform when it's saved. So we'll click on finish, and what this will do now is create the basics of the form for us. So what we now need to look at is looking at some subtitles. We've got the title that's room reservations. It says subheadings for room details and reservations. So I'm just going to go into design view. We'll make this a little bit bigger now so that we can have a little bit more space. I'm going to move the reservation title. If I just try and move it on its own, it moves the whole thing. So I'm just going to grab this top left hand corner. That will allow me to move it separately. And I'm going to draw around both of them, move them over here. We can make this a bit wider if we want to as well. And then I need another title up at the top, which is going to be for the rooms, because it does say we need to have subtitles. So I'm going to use a label, which is this AA. If I use a text box, it's like entering text into it and it will cause all sorts of problems. So we just use A, and I'll put in here a subtitle of room details. I'll just move that so it's in line with reservations. We'll move this one across. There we go. Now let's go back to some of the other things that we needed to do. Right, so we've got our subheadings. Scroll bars and default navigation buttons should be removed from the main form. Right, to select the main form, I click on this little square here and you get the black square. So we're going to remove default navigation buttons, and also the scroll bars. So if we just go into this, these are the default navigation buttons down here. Obviously you know what scroll bars are. So we select that form, go to format, and then if you look down here you can see navigation buttons, so we'll say no to those, and scroll bars we'll have neither of them. Just check that it's worked. There we go, no scroll bars, no arrows, no navigation buttons. It then says though that for the subform we should remove the default navigation buttons and the record selector. This is the record selectors, so it's asking us to remove those and these navigation buttons, but on the subform. So we'll select the subform in the same way we selected the main form by clicking on that square. Look at the format. There's our record selectors. No. There's our navigation buttons. No. Let's have a look, see if it's worked. There we go. Fantastic. Okay, so let's have a look at what else we need to put on there. We need to include the college logo. We've got a layout down here, and we can see the logos on there. We can also see that it says there that it must include the college logo. So what we're going to do in our design tools, we'll find here the option to insert an image. You can see there I've used it before, but if you haven't done, then if you go to browse and browse through, find that image and it will put it in place. But just to save time, I'll do it here, and then you just draw where you want it to go. So that's the logo. We're then asked to put in customized navigation, save record and close form buttons. That's this bit here. So these are going to be separate buttons that will navigate through. I'm going to again make this a little bit bigger so we've got a bit more space to play with, and we'll start putting these buttons on. So I click on the button shape there, draw the shape of the button I want, record navigation, and what we're going to do is you're going to do a few of these. You're going to go to first record, then you're going to go to previous record, go to next record and go to last record. Let's click on finish, it will do that for us. That's the first one. I'll do one more of those type. So it was record navigation, go to previous record. Next one I'm going to do is of the other two that it asks for, which is a close form button and a save record button. Oops, I've done something a bit odd there. Let's delete that. So we'll do our close form button. So that'll be a form operation, close form. We'll do our save record button. And that will be record operations, save record. Okay. So that has now created the buttons. You would obviously have to do the other navigation buttons as well. And now we need to think about the house style, because right at the beginning of the very first question it talked about house style, and if we look at the example layout that's given to us here, we can see that that's in the house style. So let's have a look at some of the things that we need to do. First of all, we've got each of our headings. So we've got our main heading for room reservations. So if you click on format, you'll now be able to change all the things to do with that. So like Times New Roman, and I think 20 was the size. If we'll have a look and see, just to be absolutely sure. Yes, 20, red and bold. So we'll make that bold as well. Then we've got our subtitles. So I can select two of these by holding down the shift key at the same time, and they have to be red, underlined, 14 points, and again Times New Roman. So now in terms of the text, all that's left to do is the main bits of text. So if we just draw a rectangle around it, it will select all of these. So we can now change those to black, 12 points, Times New Roman. And then we can do the same in our subform. Now make sure you keep clicking until you've actually got into the subform, otherwise you'll end up moving the whole subform. And we'll change that to black, 12, Times New Roman as well. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move all of these up a bit, and we can reduce the size of that header. And I've obviously not moved some across there. There we go, the postcode. And we can just see there I've also not made that black. So we just need to copy this formatting. So let's do that. We need to select both of those. So we use the shift key, black, 12, Times New Roman, etc. Now we've now got to do the background colours. So we'll start off with the form header. If we select anywhere on the form header, and we want to change the background color. So we need to select the Format tab, and we've got Shape Fill, and then if we go to More Colors, we'll be able to put in the 238 250 180, which is the background color it's supposed to be. We can then do the same for the detail, but I don't need to do it all over again because it's remembered that color. I can then do the same for the form header, and the same for the form detail. And what we'll do is we'll have a look at what this is all looking like so far. So if we go back to Home and View, okay, so we can see everything in there. I'm not going to do this for you in terms of demonstration, but you'd probably want to reduce the size of deposit received and move everything across to the left a bit as well. Can you see here we've got this grey bit that's showing up, and that's because what it's doing is it's doing alternate rows in a different colour. So as we go through the records, each one of these, okay, is showing up as a different colour. So we need to change those alternate rows to be the same colour as well. So if we go back to our design view and select the detail there, go to Format, and we can change the alternate row colour to be the same. And you'll probably want to do it on this one as well, so it doesn't do records 2 and 3. So we're nearly done. What we now need to do is make these fields here read only. So we want all of these. So again, we can just draw around the whole lot. I'm just going to use the Shift key. Oh, it's grab the postcode, so that's fine. And we're going to be changing the data so that it is locked just here. And now if we go back and I try and change something, you see it's not going to work. If you really wanted to, although it's completely unnecessary, you could also make all of these the same background color in terms of a text box, the same background color as the background. So if we go to Format, change the fill of it to be that same background color, and now when we have a look, right, it just makes it look like it's read only. We can even get rid of the borders as well if you wanted to. So to get rid of a border, you would just again go to Format and remove the border that's around its shape outline and change that to transparent. So that's the form completed. Okay, in terms of evidence, you need to take a screenshot of it, not in this view, but in this view here. So you take a screenshot of that, make sure it's got all the things included, and make sure that it is for room number 203. Okay, so now you've got to annotate it, so the next tutorial will be about the annotation.